Imagine a land in the South Atlantic, full of bright colors, exciting music, and a rich tapestry of cultures that blend together in a vibrant mosaic. This land, with its long, fascinating history, has been shaped by countless influences over the centuries. On April 22, 1500, a Portuguese explorer named Pedro Álvares Cabral was sailing west with his fleet of ships, navigating the vast and uncharted waters of the Atlantic Ocean. As he ventured further, he came across a coastline he had never seen before, a land that was both mysterious and inviting. Little did he know that this important discovery would change the course of history forever, marking the beginning of a new era. This was the beginning of Brazil. Cabral and his crew were amazed by what they saw, a land teeming with life and potential. The explorers were greeted by vast, dense rainforests that seemed to stretch endlessly, filled with unusual plants and animals they had never encountered before. Huge rainforests seemed to go on forever, filled with unusual plants and animals. The air was thick with the scent of 1,000 flowers, and the sounds of exotic creatures echoed all around them. They heard strange animal sounds, and the air smelled like 1,000 flowers. The lush greenery and vibrant wildlife were unlike anything they had ever seen. As they explored inland, they met the people who already lived there. These indigenous tribes had their own rich cultures and traditions. There were many different tribes, each with its own culture, language, and way of life. The diversity among these tribes was astounding, each contributing to the rich tapestry of the land. This meeting between two very different worlds was important. It marked the beginning of a complex and often tumultuous relationship. The native people were curious and a little afraid of these strangers from a faraway land. They had never seen people like the Portuguese before, and their arrival was both intriguing and unsettling. The Portuguese saw a land full of riches and possibilities. They envisioned new opportunities for trade, wealth, and expansion, setting the stage for the future of Brazil. At first, the native people and the European explorers were curious about each other, but they were also careful, and sometimes fought. These early encounters were filled with a mix of wonder and apprehension, as both sides tried to understand the other. The explorers were fascinated by the new world they had stumbled upon, while the indigenous people were wary of these strange visitors who arrived with unfamiliar customs and technologies. The native tribes, used to their own ways, were interested in the explorers' tools, clothes, and language, which were so different from their own. They marveled at the metal tools and weapons, the colorful fabrics, and the strange sounds of the European languages. These items were unlike anything they had seen before, sparking both curiosity and caution. The Europeans were amazed by how connected the native people were to nature, their special ceremonies, and their strong beliefs. They observed the intricate rituals and the deep respect the indigenous people had for the land and its resources. This connection to nature was something the Europeans found both intriguing and admirable. They admired their hunting, fishing, and farming skills and their knowledge of the environment. The native people's ability to live in harmony with nature, using sustainable practices to hunt, fish, and farm, was something the Europeans had not seen before. This expertise in managing their resources was impressive to the newcomers, but misunderstandings and different values soon led to problems and fights. The cultural differences and language barriers often resulted in conflicts, as each side struggled to assert their own ways of life and protect their interests. These clashes sometimes turned violent, leading to a breakdown in relations. The Europeans wanted land, resources, and wealth, so they started taking over the native territories. Driven by a desire for expansion and economic gain, they began to claim large areas of land, often disregarding the rights and lives of the indigenous people who lived there. They wanted to use the land's resources like Brazil wood, a special tree used for making dye, which is how Brazil got its name. The extraction of Brazil wood became a significant economic activity, as the dye was highly valued in Europe. This exploitation of natural resources marked the beginning of a long history of resource extraction in the region. As they built settlements and became more powerful, they often used force, forcing the native people from their homes and disrupting their way of life. The establishment of European colonies led to the displacement of many indigenous communities, altering their traditional ways of living and causing significant upheaval in their societies. When the Portuguese arrived, they stayed for centuries, shaping Brazil's future. Portugal wanted wealth and power, so they made Brazil a colony. The Portuguese king divided the land into large areas called captaincies and gave them to nobles, who were in charge of colonizing and using the land. Sugarcane became the most important crop, making Brazil a major sugar producer. Huge plantations, worked by enslaved Africans, appeared along the coast. Millions of Africans were brought to Brazil against their will, and their forced labor made the colony rich, but left a dark mark on its history. As the colony grew, so did its cities. Salvador, the first capital, founded in 1549, became a busy center for trade. Rio de Janeiro, founded in 1565, became a major port city, connecting Brazil to the interior. In the late 1700s, ideas of freedom and revolution were spreading around the world. Inspired by the American and French revolutions, Brazilians started to question Portuguese rule and wanted to govern themselves. When Napoleon invaded Portugal, Portugal's control over its colonies weakened, making Brazilians want independence even more. In 1808, Prince John VI of Portugal escaped from Napoleon and went to Brazil for safety. His arrival in Rio de Janeiro was a turning point. He made Brazil a kingdom instead of a colony and allowed it to trade with other countries. But these changes weren't enough. In 1822, Prince Pedro, John VI's son, supported the Brazilian people and declared Brazil an independent nation, free from Portugal. Pedro became Emperor Pedro I of Brazil, starting a new era for the nation. Pedro II became emperor in 1840 when he was only 5 years old. He ruled for a long time, and during those years Brazil changed and progressed in amazing ways. Pedro II loved education, science and culture. He made sure Brazil improved its infrastructure, technology and arts. He spent money on railroads, telegraphs and public projects, connecting Brazil and helping the economy grow. He encouraged immigration, welcoming Europeans who brought new skills, knowledge and culture to Brazil. Pedro II also made important social changes, like gradually ending slavery. He knew slavery was wrong and supported efforts to stop the slave trade and improve the lives of enslaved people. His daughter, Princess Isabel, would later sign the Golden Law in 1888, finally abolishing slavery in Brazil. Ending slavery in Brazil was a huge moment, the result of many years of fighting and activism. From the beginning of colonization, enslaved Africans resisted slavery. They revolted, ran away to form their own communities called quilombos, and fought for freedom. Throughout the 1800s, more and more people wanted to abolish slavery. They were morally outraged by it, and there was also economic pressure and international pressure to end it. Abolitionist societies, newspapers, and famous people spoke out against the horrors of slavery, demanding it to end immediately. When Princess Isabel signed the Golden Law on May 13, 1888, it was a huge victory for human rights and social justice. Slavery's impact continued to affect Brazilian society, but abolishing it created a path toward a fairer future. Ending slavery had a big impact on politics and society in Brazil. It led to the end of the monarchy and the start of a republic. The wealthy plantation owners, who used to support the monarchy, felt betrayed by the emperor's support for abolition. Meanwhile, Republicans, encouraged by the success of the abolitionist movement, saw a chance to change the government. On November 15, 1889, the monarchy was overthrown peacefully, and Brazil became a republic. Marshal Deodoro da Fonseca, an important military leader, became the first president. Changing from an empire to a republic was a turning point for Brazil, bringing new challenges and opportunities. The early years of the republic were unstable, with political problems, economic difficulties, and social unrest. The new government had to deal with the effects of slavery, integrate former slaves into society, and modernize the economy. Throughout the 1900s, Brazil went through an amazing transformation, becoming a strong democracy and a global economic power. The country experienced periods of dictatorship and democracy, rapid industrialization, people moving to cities, and social change. Through it all, Brazil's rich culture thrived, shaping its identity and captivating the world. From the samba music of Rio de Janeiro's carnival to the exciting beats of Bahia's axe music, Brazil's musical traditions show its African, European, and indigenous roots. Brazilian literature, with its famous modernist writers like Clarice Lispector, and magical realism like Jorge Amado's work, reflects the country's complex society and rich storytelling tradition. Brazilian food is a delicious mix of flavors and ingredients, a culinary adventure. From the famous feijoada, a hearty black bean stew, to the refreshing caipirinha, a cocktail with cachaça, lime, and sugar, Brazilian food celebrates the country's diverse cultural heritage. As Brazil enters the 21st century, it's a changed nation, a global power with a strong democracy and a growing economy. The country has undergone significant transformations, emerging from decades of political and economic challenges to become a beacon of progress and stability in South America, and a rich cultural heritage. The country has made progress in reducing poverty, improving education, and healthcare. Investments in public services have led to better living conditions for millions of Brazilians, fostering a more inclusive society and promoting social inclusion. Brazil is a major producer of agricultural products, with its fertile lands yielding a variety of crops that feed not only its own population but also contribute significantly to global food supplies. The agricultural sector is complemented by a growing technology sector which is driving innovation and creating new opportunities for the younger generation. Startups and tech companies are flourishing, making Brazil a hub for technological advancements in the region. Brazil also possesses vast natural resources, demonstrating its economic strength. The country is becoming more important on the world stage, advocating for environmental protection, fighting climate change, and promoting international cooperation. Brazil's leadership in global environmental initiatives highlights its commitment to preserving the planet for future generations. From its humble beginnings as a Portuguese colony to its current status as a global power, Brazil's journey has been one of resilience and transformation. The nation's history is marked by periods of struggle and triumph, shaping its unique identity and unwavering hope. As the country faces the challenges of the 21st century, it does so with a strong sense of identity and a commitment to progress. The vibrant culture and diverse population are testaments to Brazil's enduring spirit, and a belief in its unlimited potential. Brazil's story is proof of the human spirit's enduring power and the beauty of diversity. The nation's ability to adapt and innovate ensures a promising future, and the transformative power of hope. As Brazil continues to rise on the world stage, it remains a symbol of resilience, progress, and the boundless possibilities that lie ahead.